So, in our journey in consumer behavior so far, we have seen how to find out the demand function. How do we find out the demand function? Budget line plus the utility function would give us the optimal X and Y quantities. This would give me the demand function. After this, we saw how X or Y respond to changes, responses to changes in Px, Py, and M basically give us the definition of the kind of good X or Y is. Okay. Also, we subtly understood the concept of elasticity, and we also spoke about the different properties of the demand function. Okay. After we did all of this, we went into how changes in price would encompass two items. One item is where the purchasing power is constant and there is only a change in the relative price of X or Y. Okay. That gives us the substitution effect. Okay. That is only with the changes in the relative price. What will be the change in the bundle? That is the substitution effect. And then we increase the purchasing or we decrease the purchasing. Sorry. We increase or we decrease the purchasing power in the case of a price decrease or a price increase, respectively. So if the price is falling, it is effectively an increase in the purchasing power. If the price is increasing, it is an effective decrease in the purchasing power. So purchasing power constant, only change in the relative prices, substitution effect. Now change in the purchasing power also would give us the income effect, and both combined would give us the price effect. So we have seen all of this till now. The substitution effect and the income effect, the segregation has been given by two very famous economists. One is Slutsky and the other is Hicks. So Slutsky basically said that purchasing power is kept constant by keeping original bundle affordable. And Hicks basically said that we keep purchasing power constant by keeping the utility constant. Okay, so these were the two different approaches by the two economists. Obviously, the overall price effect by any of the two approaches is exactly the same. The only difference is how much is the substitution effect and how much is the income effect. That will vary, but the summation is always the same. ठीक है, तो अभी तक हमने ये देखा है कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर में. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू टेक अ स्टेप फर्दर एंड वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट अ कॉन्सेप्ट कॉल्ड इक्विवेलेंट वेरिएशन एंड कॉम्पनसेटिंग वेरिएशन. Okay. Now, equivalent and compensating variations is an extremely interesting concept. What the concept basically says is, let's understand the concept with a simple example. Supposing supposing Akshay is a consumer, and what happens is that price of X decreases for Akshay. Okay. Now, this is the good X, this is the good Y. Original budget line is BL, and after the price reduction, BL dash. Okay. So original is PX, new is PX dash, which is less than PX. Price is falling. Now, Akshay was originally consuming at a point, for example, at a point A, and ultimately in the price effect, he's consuming at another point, which is C. We have seen that this movement from A to C, there is a segregation where I move from A to B owing to the substitution effect. So movement from point A to another point B will happen something like this. This is a point B. So movement from A to B is the substitution effect. Okay. Now, I can say that B is a point such that when price falls, there is some amount of money being taken away from the consumer. When price falls, money taken away from the consumer, Akshay in this example, A basically. When price falls, money taken away from the consumer such that he is as well off as before the price decrease. Am I making sense? What has happened is I have moved from the budget line BL to BL dash because of a decrease in the price. Now, if I want to see how much money has to be taken away from the consumer such that the consumer is enjoying the old utility, okay, such that the consumer is as well off as the old utility. If I were to ensure that he is on the old utility, then I will not have any other utility uh, indifference curve. I will simply make this new budget line exactly tangent to the old indifference curve at another point B. Okay, this is the Hicks approach where it is exactly the same indifference curve. Okay, for Slutsky, the budget line is passing through the point A. So under Slutsky, the consumer is able to enjoy a higher indifference curve. ठीक है, ये सब तो आप लोग को ऑलरेडी पता है, मैं अज्यूम कर रहा हूं क्योंकि आप लोगों ने वो वीडियो को डेफिनेटली देखा होगा जहां पर आई हैव ऑलरेडी डन the Slutsky approach and the Hicks approach. Slutsky approach is original bundle exactly affordable, and the Hicks approach is original utility exactly affordable. Okay. Anyway, coming back. So for point B, I am having to take away money from the consumer in order to ensure that the old utility is achievable. Okay. So this difference in the income, I call this BSLS for the substitution effect, B substitution, L substitution. So there is a difference in the income between BSLS and BL dash. This difference in the income is called compensating variation. Okay. इसको आप ऐसे याद रखो, ओल्ड यूटिलिटी जहां पर ओरिजिनल थे, ओल्ड यूटिलिटी एट द न्यू प्राइसेस, ओल्ड यूटिलिटी एट द न्यू प्राइसेस कौन सा मनी इनकम पे होगा, राइट? सपोजिंग BSLS corresponds to the money income M dash, and obviously BL and BL dash are both corresponding to the original money income M. So basically M dash minus M is the amount of money that has to be taken away from the consumer. ये नेगेटिव क्वांटिटी है, इसीलिए दैट्स लाइक टेकिंग अवे मनी फ्रॉम द कंज्यूमर. So this difference between these two budget lines is called the equivalent variation. अगर आप पैसा कंज्यूमर से ले लेते हैं, then the compensating variation will be negative. If you are giving money to the consumer, then the compensating variation will be positive. So it's quite clear that when price of X falls, compensating variation will be negative क्योंकि you'll have to take away money from the consumer in order to ensure that he's at the old utility level. And when the price of X is increasing, the compensating variation is positive. That is, you'll have to give money to the consumer so that he is as well off in the original case. ठीक है? So this is compensating variation. Old utility at the new prices. Equivalent variation, on the other hand, is new utility at old prices. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at how much money has to be given to the consumer to make it equivalent to a price decrease. So price decrease के बाद में the consumer is being able to achieve the point C. But अगर price decrease ही नहीं हुआ होता, if the price would not have decreased, then how much extra money would have to be given to the consumer that is equivalent to a price decrease? So in this example, I would have to draw another budget line, which would be parallel to the old budget line and tangent to the new utility level. I call this BDLD. Okay. So BDLD is supposing M double dash. So equivalent variation is nothing but M double dash minus the original income M. How much money has to be pumped in? How much money has to be given to the consumer so that it is equivalent to a price decrease? प्राइस डिक्रीज नहीं करेंगे, उसको लमसम में पैसे दे देंगे कि इतना पैसा लो, दिस इज इक्विवेलेंट टू अ प्राइस डिक्रीज. सो हाउ मच इज दैट मनी? दैट इज कॉल्ड इक्विवेलेंट वेरिएशन. समझ में आया? सो ओल्ड यूटिलिटी एट द न्यू प्राइसेस, ऐसे याद आप रखिए, ओल्ड यूटिलिटी एट द न्यू प्राइसेस इज कॉम्पनसेटिंग. कॉम्पनसेट का मतलब ही है दैट आई एम गोइंग बैक. Compensate, I will have to compensate you for a change in the situation. So whenever the situation changes, the word compensate comes into the picture. So situation change hua, I will have to compensate you so that you are as well off as the old utility. So compensating variation is old utility at the new prices and equivalent is the opposite, new utility at the old prices. तो ऐसे आप याद रखिए, old utility at the new prices हो गया compensating variation, the difference in the income, and equivalent variation is new utility at the old prices. ठीक है? ओके. एक एग्जाम्पल को करेंगे, उससे आपको बेटर आएगा समझ में. गिव मी अ थम्स अप. एक एग्जाम्पल को करने से आपको बेटर आएगा समझ में. ठीक है, टाइप करिए ई फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन द चैट बॉक्स. लेट्स गो अहेड एंड सॉल्व आईएसआई 2024 पीईबी क्वेश्चन नंबर 3. A consumer consumes two goods, visits to a nearby park, and a composite consumption good. According to the preferences, U is equal to X into Y. So Cobb-Douglas production, utility function है. The consumer's income is R and the price of the composite good is normalized to 1. Okay? तो ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन को जल्दी से हम लोग व्हाइट बोर्ड पे डाल देते हैं. So I have ISI 2024 PB क्वेश्चन नंबर 3. यूटिलिटी फंक्शन इज x इंटू वाई. ये x क्या है? विजिट्स टू अ पार्क एंड y इज अ कंपोजिट गुड. सम मतलब कि एवरीथिंग एल्स इज y. मनी इनकम है r. प्राइस ऑफ x अभी हम लोग देखेंगे, वो है p स्टार. एंड प्राइस ऑफ द कंपोजिट गुड इज नॉर्मलाइज टू 1. तो ये है हम लोग का यूटिलिटी फंक्शन, ये है हम लोग का बजट लाइन. ओके, और अच्छे से पढ़ते हैं. इनिशियली देयर इज एन एंट्री फी p स्टार. तो इनिशियली p स्टार है. Suppose the authorities are considering a proposal to reduce the per visit entry fee from P star to P dash. तो reduction होगा in the price, then obviously the consumers will like it. So there will be an increase in the consumer surplus. Okay? तो A basically हम लोग को increase in the consumer surplus को निकालने के लिए बोल रहा है. Okay? तो ये है ओरिजिनल केस. अब ओरिजिनल केस में हाउ मच विल बी x? 1/2, 1/1+1 into the money income divided by the price. Shortcut formula. So R/2 P star. Okay. And y naught is basically 1/2 into R/1. So that's basically R/2. ये मेरा y, ये मेरा x. अब this is my x. X, the demand function is basically R/2P. जो भी price है, x का consumption will be according to that. So if I were to draw this, in the x and p space, it will look like a rectangular hyperbola. Okay, where whatever be the price, supposing पहले प्राइस है p स्टार, फिर प्राइस हो गया, पहले प्राइस है p स्टार, फिर प्राइस हो गया p डैश, इसको लिख देते हैं p स्टार, फिर प्राइस हो गया p डैश, ये था r बाय 2p स्टार, ये है r बाय 2p डैश. Okay, now earlier the consumer surplus was this, ये red area. With a reduction in the price, the consumer surplus has increased. The consumer surplus has increased by this brown shaded area. This area I call it as A. ये A area is the increase in the consumer surplus. Right? अब ये तो इंटीग्रेशन का क्वेश्चन है. ये A को कैसे निकालेंगे, यही आपको निकालना है. फॉर पार्ट ए ये A को ही निकालना है. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव नॉट येट फाउंड आउट द कंज्यूमर सरप्लस? टाइप CS इन द चैट बॉक्स. आपको ये एरिया निकालना है. ओके, नाउ जस्ट टू डू अ वेरी क्विक रिकैप, ये ए एरिया कैसे निकालेंगे. अगर कुछ ऐसा होता क्वेश्चन में एंड हमें ये निकालना है, ठीक है, दिस इज माई एक्स एंड दिस इज माई वाई, इसको कैसे निकालते थे, ये सपोजिंग एक्स नॉट है, ये x1 है, तो ऐसे निकालते थे, इंटीग्रेशन x0 टू x1 y dx, ऐसे निकालते थे. ये x है, ये y है. ओके, तो इंटीग्रेशन x0 टू x1, ये जो फंक्शन है y इज इक्वल टू फंक्शन ऑफ x, ठीक है, y dx, ऐसे निकालते थे. तो अगर हमें कुछ ऐसा निकालना है, ये दोनों के बीच में डिफरेंस अगर निकालना है, सॉरी फॉर माई ड्रॉइंग, ये दोनों के बीच में अगर डिफरेंस निकालना है y एक्सिस पे, ये x है, ये y है. ओके, ये है मेरा y0, ये है मेरा y1, हमें ये डिफरेंस निकालना है, तो क्या करेंगे, इंटीग्रेशन y0 टू y1 x dy करेंगे. एम आई मेकिंग सेंस? ये ग्राफ में y एक्सिस के बीच का एरिया निकालना है, y एक्सिस का बीच का एरिया अगर निकालना है तो y0 टू y1 x dy करेंगे. x एक्सिस के बीच का एरिया निकालना है तो x0 टू x1 y dx करते हैं. ओके, तो यहां पर हमें क्या करना है, यहां पर हमें क्या करना है, समझदार हैं आप, प्लीज बताइए यहां पर हम लोग क्या करेंगे. ये p स्टार है, p डैश है, यहां पर क्या करेंगे, इंटीग्रेशन p डैश टू p स्टार x, x क्या है, dy, y क्या है, p है, यही तो करेंगे. p डैश टू p स्टार, ये लोअर वैल्यू, ये अपर वैल्यू है, सॉरी, ये होगा y1 टू y0, ये लोअर वैल्यू, ये अपर वैल्यू है, तो ये होगा y1 और ये होगा y0. ठीक है, तो यहां पर हम लोग ये करेंगे. अब तो निकाल सकते हैं, अब मेरे को बताइए इसका क्या आंसर आ रहा है, जल्दी बताइए इसका क्या आंसर आ रहा है. इंटीग्रेशन p डैश टू p स्टार r बाई 2p dp, जल्दी से निकालिए, प्लीज टेल मी व्हाट आर यू गेटिंग, पुट इट इन द चैट. अब सबको जवाब देना है, ये इंटीग्रेशन का सिंपल सा प्रॉब्लम है, ये तो दे ही सकते हैं जवाब, प्लीज डू इट. सही है, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर रिस्पॉन्सेज. अभी इसको क्या करेंगे, r बाई 2, 1 बाई p इज विल बी ln p mod p, बट p इज पॉजिटिव, तो ln p, एंड ये फ्रॉम p डैश टू p स्टार, तो r बाई 2 को कॉमन ले लेंगे, ln p स्टार माइनस ln p डैश, तो इसको कैसे लिख सकते हैं, r बाई 2 लॉग ऑफ p स्टार बाय p डैश. दिस इज माई आंसर फॉर पार्ट ए. सबको समझ में आया कि ये कैसे हुआ. ओ मुपन्ना, you have x is equal to r by 2p, correct or not? Now how to graph this, ये तो ग्राफिंग का प्रॉब्लम हो गया. x is equal to r by 2p. मुपन्ना, can you please unmute yourself? Yes, what is your problem here, tell me. Yeah, you have this as the demand function, and this is x and this is p. Whenever x into p, the two variable, is equal to a constant, it is a rectangular hyperbola, always. And that is what we have here. X into p is equal to r by 2. It's a rectangular hyperbola. You can also see it by this. dp dx is equal to minus r by 2x square. d2p dx2 is equal to 2r by 2x cube. That is positive. So it is negatively sloped and it is convex. Negatively sloped convex, rectangular hyperbola. R by 2x square. So x cannot be equal to 0. So it is not touching any of the two axes. Mupanna, is this clear? That is why it is like this. So all of you have got the consumer surplus answer. Please type C in the chat box अगर सबको मिल गया है consumer surplus का आंसर. सही है. तो अभी कंज्यूमर सरप्लस का तो मिल गया. दैट्स ओनली 3 मार्क्स. 3 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन है ये. 7 मार्क्स तो नेक्स्ट है, एंड 7 मार्क्स नेक्स्ट है, एंड 7 मार्क्स नेक्स्ट है. तो अभी तक तो 3 ही नंबर मिला है आउट ऑफ 24. अभी नेक्स्ट 7 मार्क्स को अटेम्प्ट करिए एंड टेल मी क्या आंसर आ रहा है.